Good evening. The Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education meeting for Monday, August 23rd, 2021 is now called to order. And we'll start tonight with our Pledge of Allegiance given by Jeffrey Morgan. If all could please stand and mute your microphones.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice President Morgan. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, ma'am. President Galbraith.
Present.
Vice President Morgan.
Present.
Secretary Scott. I think she'll be joining us shortly. Board Member Cullen.
Present.
And Board Member Cullen.
Coleman is present.
Coleman. Did I do it again? I'm sorry. Board Member Coleman.
I'm here too.
Okay. and we have a quorum, 4-0.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Noreen Scott should be joining us. Kim, actually, I don't know if you have a second, but could you just send her a quick text to make sure she's okay getting on? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. I want to welcome everyone out to our meeting tonight. I know we have some visitors here with us tonight, and so we want to thank them for coming out and presenting the business that they're presenting tonight. We're going to start tonight's meeting off with some short comments by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. V. Sue Cleveland.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm not going to do a lengthy PowerPoint tonight. It's a short meeting, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things just very quickly for the board. Commendations. We have a recognition of Spotlight for their assistance in facilitating the broadband internet access during the pandemic. And I'll tell you, we got over 800 families connected and would not have been able to do that without this private-public partnership. They went way beyond the Call of Duty, and there will be a presentation that will be made by Paul Romero, our Executive Director of Instructional Technology, and Terry Meyer, who is the Director of Educational Technology for the district. We also have several just basic business items. One is very important, and that is the approval of the Series 2 of 2021 General Obligation School Bonds Notice of Sale Resolution. And talked about that last week, and tonight is the night for the board to consider adoption, and that is a pretty important matter for the district. Mike Baker, Chief Operations Officer, Daniel Alsop, who is Bond Counsel, and Eric Harrigan with RBC as the district's financial advisor will be the presenters this evening. And then we have a couple of RFPs and ITBs. And then last but certainly not least is the resolutions the board may want to start developing for the legislative session, and has to be into the School Boards Association fairly soon. And these are opportunities for the board to try to let our state legislature know what is important to our district and what we hope we'll see come out of the 2022 legislative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. Okay, we'll move to our item E to approve our prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations. If there are any questions or any changes that need to take place on the prioritized agenda as it's been presented.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott, and I move approval of the prioritized agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Board Member Jeff Morgan. I second.
Okay. We have a motion by Noreen Scott and a second by Jeff Morgan. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
And President Galbraith.
Yes.
And that is 5-0.
Thank you. The motion carries. Okay. For our next item, we will go to public comment. We received about 34 public comments. Did I have that right? And I'm just going to quickly go through our comments today. They're on a lot of different topics. And so I'll name each person and kind of summarize what they went through. So Shannon Cassidy is saying that the mask pass is working and it's been a great incentive for teens to get vaccinated. David Harris, it's wrong to vote on masks in schools when children have no choice on being vaccinated. Only N95s can actually block the virus. Denise Weaver is disappointed that our school board is not fighting like Floyd schools. School board members need to have courage and fight for our children. The masks are harming our children. Petra Smith sent in 9 different public comments with a cease and desist from with the enforcements of masks and that it causes health problems. Susie Lepori said that Rio Rancho Public Schools has promised air filtration in our middle school, at our Rio Rancho Middle School, and that it doesn't seem to be working, and she has zero faith in that safety of that building. Jody Fuel, that mask, she actually sent 2 in. 1, masks should be optional for elementary children, and that there may be negative effects for our children. Hard for our kindergarteners to learn to read when they cannot see their teacher's face. Also, that her kids will be forced to quarantine and they will not participate in online school, and wants us to stand against the law. Nicole Shaver, schools were open for 7 days. They've seen 3 COVID cases. We need to revisit the mask pass policy, which obviously we have at this point. Sierra Garner, transportation issues. The bus stop was pulled from the daycare Memorable Moments and has had a bus for 10 years. They lost 8 kids in their program due to the change. Aubrey Exium, canceling homecoming. We have a few on this one. Canceling homecoming is completely unnecessary. Ariana Palmer, that homecoming should not be canceled. We could have a dance with a mask mandate. Jamie Bermudez, homecoming is outside. It should not be canceled. Work with student government and be creative about a solution. Cheryl Daniels, parents should have at least 24-hour notice of shutting down schools. Daniel Rollins, concerned about emailing an email requiring teachers to be vaccinated. The school board is elected and brought in for the people by the people, asking the school board to stand against the mandates from the governor. Cheryl Daniels, a push against PED to vaccinate. It should be a personal choice. The board is not hearing the employees. They want to teach without the fear of punitive damages. Let's see, Lucy Bermudez. That's unfair and cruel to cancel homecoming while APS continues with theirs. If the governor has not done it, then it should not be canceled. Courtney Trotter, homecoming should not be canceled. Students have a choice to attend or not. Lily Abeda, homecoming is important and she's already missed a year of high school. Please reconsider. Naya Mamuya, the canceling of homecoming was premature. The dance is optional. These students are already congregating at lunch. Having Rio and Cleveland dance on the same night would keep down the numbers. We could have masks and have it outdoors. APS is having dances and believes we should as well. Mia Nelson, homecoming should not be canceled. Students have already lost almost 2 years of high school. Cindy Trotter appreciates the concern for student health, but their mental health is suffering. Taking away homecoming is doing more harm than good. And Crystal Cunningham was at Sunday is Fun Day with a couple of thousand people. She believes that were there. And including our RRPS booth and some Rio Rancho cheerleaders. And if our city can do that, then students should be able to have their homecoming dance. Isabella Denton, how is it that we can be in in-person learning and not have a dance? Paula Lagrave, first, let's see, middle and high school should have earlier conferences than November. It's too late to help students at that point. Let's see, another one, this is all from her. In-person learning is best, but perhaps it's best to go back to having Wednesday as a cleaning day. Also, take a closer look at the scheduling of in-service days. And 4, get rid of the antiquated dress code for teachers. They can be professional in jeans, and students don't care. Let's see, Joe, and then I already read Jody's. Yeah, so that's all our public comment for tonight. For those who are wishing to address the board through public comment, please go to the RRPS board page and submit your comment. As you can see, we do read each and every one of those comments, and we appreciate receiving them. So please take time to go to that page. All right, for our next item, item G is commendations. Our first commendation, or our only commendation, will be given by Paul Romero, our Director of Instructional Technology, and Terry Meyer, our Director of Educational Technology. And I'll go ahead and let them explain their commendation for tonight.
Thank you very much, President Galbraith, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. Thank you so much. It's really nice to be able to come to the board and give some credit where credit is due. As you know, we've been really busy the last couple of years, and we're able to. I really believe we were able to do what people thought impossible and make it possible. So we were able through Beth Pendergrass. She introduced me to the general manager at Sparklight, Jane Shanley, and just to go back, and there's Jane. She just popped up on the screen. She's an amazing lady, by the way. But Sparklight is really a dedicated telecommunication service provider here in Rio Rancho, as you know. And once we realized the true need of what those families needed out there, we had a perceived need, but when things really began to progress with the pandemic, we started to find out what our true need was in regard to internet access. We needed a company, somebody with the knowledge of our area to support the implementation of an aggressive and successful internet service deployment strategy. So not only were we able to bring in Sparklight and use some pertinent data that they have about the ability of their service throughout the community, but we're able to partner with them and their team in making that impossible possible. We worked side by side with Sparklight from delivering connectivity kits. They had their staff going out to homes and delivering those, as well as our staff as well, and physically having them wire some homes that didn't even have cabling in them. But specifically, Jane Shanley, their general manager, was able to get their team, put them together, and she was just amazing to work with. Anytime I called, she answered. It was way after work, way before work, and she was there, and her team was there, and I got a chance to work with them. And that's why it's so important that we work with people that are local to us in offering amazing services that is continually stable. And they even assisted us in keeping families online and on track over the pandemic. So I thank the board, and Jane, I just really want to thank you for being with us this evening and helping us meet the need that we had. So the students that weren't in the Sparklight area, we used T-Mobile, but locally we had Sparklight step up and really make a difference. And from Rio Rancho School District, we just wanted to say thank you this evening for your help and your community building with us.
Thank you, Paul. I miss you. We talked just about every day for a while there, and it has been some time, but we are, as you mentioned, part of the community, and it was a team effort. It wasn't just me. I was just your contact at the time, but I appreciate your kind words. We were really happy to step up and help the families and the kids get connected, and that's what we do. So we were here to help, and it was an adventure, and I think it was kind of a fun adventure, and we know we can do it, which was the great news. And not only did we do it the first time, we came back and did it again in August, make sure that we had them up twice. So yeah, and as you know, we work, we live, we play in the city. Our employees have children that go to school in Rio Rancho Public Schools, so we understand the importance of it. And as a matter of fact, we now have the spouse of one of our employees is one of the teachers at Rio Rancho Public Schools now. So we're excited to be part of the community and part of whatever solution that you need now and in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. And before you go, I want to add on behalf of our board, thank you. Like last year, it would have been bad if we hadn't have had this partnership. It was difficult, and it was even difficult with our partnerships for all of our kids. And so thank you for being like one less thing that we had to really, really, worry about. And so we appreciate that. And also, go ahead. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
I just want to make sure, Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything before we let Jane go?
Well, as I said before, we did really appreciate it, and it made a huge difference. And obviously, we weren't the only ones with needs. There were a lot of other needs in the general community. They prioritized schools in order to get our kids online and get them learning. And so it just made a huge difference. And particularly in some of our very most vulnerable families. So we thank you for courageously stepping up and helping us make that a reality. We know you were being bombarded with lots of other requests for help and assistance during that time as well. So thank you for thinking of our kids. And
yes, it's been a busy few years, and you're very welcome. And as a matter of fact, I saw more of the city because I personally was delivering some of the kits out to the families, and there were areas that I hadn't seen before. So it was a little bit of a learning experience for me as well.
Thank you. I can see we have Wynn Coleman, one of our board members, would like to say something.
Yes, and I want to say thank you so much for what you have been able to provide to our students, and I think and families. But I think it's really important that we acknowledge that that what Sparklight was able to do was, in addition to take care of our students and our families, that was in the midst of also making sure that any of our other providers in our community were up to speed with what they needed for all the work from home. So the undertaking that they went through to go ahead and service our community in general, in addition to our families in our district, is just definitely something to be commended. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm just going to see if anyone else would like to say anything real quick. I don't want to cut anyone off. Jeff, go ahead if you would like to.
I just want to say thanks. That was a big job, but you guys stepped up, took the challenge, and you made it happen. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Thanks. And Catherine?
Sorry, I did just to reiterate what Lynn said. I know it's been, you guys were very busy. I even had a client during that time, and Jane actually answered her phone. So I know you were really busy. And you guys put such tremendous effort, and you were such a blessing to our community. Again, especially with not just with our students, but again, with everybody working from home and getting everybody connected. I know that was a huge undertaking for Rio Rancho. So thank you.
Noreen, did you want to add anything? She's muted, but we love her. There we go.
I just want to say thank you. It made me very proud of our community that we all pulled together. And it's a real example of what, when we all work together, we can accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the same on the school side, Terry and Paul, it couldn't have happened without everything that they did and their departments did to make the partnership work together.
We agree with that. We love Terry and Paul. We're so grateful for them and all that they do. And last year, I think they were just put to the limits with our technology. That's for sure. Well, thank you, Jane. Thanks so much for being on with us tonight. And thanks, Paul, for doing that commendation for us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to approve our consent agenda for the night. Is there a motion to approve the consent?
This is Secretary Noreen Scott. I move to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
This is Board Member Jeff Morgan. I second.
Okay.
Did you say calendar or did you mean report? It sounded like you said calendar.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. It's
Yeah,
I
report.
moved to approve consent report.
Or agenda. Okay. Thank you.
It's agenda, but I think you said calendar, so I was trying to figure out what you're saying.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Noreen Scott to approve the consent agenda. And then we have a second by Jeffrey Morgan. Kim, I almost forgot your name. I'm so sorry. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us, please?
Certainly. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes. And
And
last
President
names
Galbraith.
don't matter.
Hey, she got it right. Now.
No. I was referring to before, so no.
And President Galbraith.
Yes,
I think that was 5-0.
it was. I know, that's where I was. All right, thank you. Thank you, Kim. Yes, 5-0 motion carries on that. Appreciate it. Okay, getting into our business for the evening. Our first is a report that the Board of Education met in a closed executive session on August 23rd, 2021, under Section 10-15-1H8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. The matters discussed in the closed meeting were limited only to those specified in the notice of the separate closed meeting. Our next is to consider the approval of the unapproved meeting minutes for August 9th, 2021. Were there any changes that anyone saw that needed to take place on those minutes from August 9th, 2021? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve? I feel like you guys want to give me a motion.
No. Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I'll
are.
make a motion to approve the hold on. Which one is it? It's the
August 9th.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, the August 9th. Sorry, I'm cutting out. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the August 9th minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
So it's Board Member Morgan, I second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Catherine Collin and a second by Jeff Morgan. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, I can. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
and President Galbraith.
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. The motion carries. Okay. Our next is to consider the adoption approval of Series 2021 General Obligation School Bonds, Notice of Sale and Resolution Parameters, Delegation, Resolution, and Preliminary Official Statement. So we have Mike Baker, our Chief Operations Officer, here with our with Daniel Alsup, our Bond Counsel, and also Eric Harrigan from RBC Capital Markets. I'll turn the time to you.
Okay, thank you, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the school board. So this evening, the board will consider a GO bond notice of sale resolution. And presenting this evening will be Eric Harrigan, longtime financial advisor of the district. And Eric has been in front of the school board numerous times, giving his financial advice to the board. This evening, we also have Daniel Alsup. Excuse me. Daniel is new to the district. Daniel is our new bond attorney. He replaces Mark Chafin. Daniel is a graduate of the UNM School of Law. He has extensive experience representing public bodies in New Mexico concerning financial matters. He is with the Module Law Firm. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Eric.
Great. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. Again, Eric Harrigan with RBC Capital Markets. I'll provide just a couple of introductory comments and then turn it over to Daniel. So Per the prior meeting, it provided an overview of the plan of finance, of which this document authorizes the issuance of those bonds. It consists of 15 million of voter authorized bonds from the November 2019 authorization. In addition, it also authorizes the refunding of the Series 2013 bonds for interest rate savings. We anticipate that the savings would generate approximately $520,000 on a present value basis. Subject to the board's approval tonight, it provides authorization to publish a preliminary official statement as well as a notice of sale authorizing the district to sell the bonds on a competitive sale on September 22nd and delegating to the superintendent to approve the sale on the 22nd. We would then be back before the board to report the results, and then closing would be on and about October 13th, and that's when the funds would be available for the district. With that, I will turn it over to Daniel to add any additional items or comments that he'd like to make.
Thank you. This is Daniel Alsop with the Modular Law Firm. Hello, Madam President, board members, Dr. Cleveland, Mr. Baker, and all. First, I'd like to say I really appreciate the opportunity to work with the district. I'm excited about it. So thank you. The resolution before the board tonight would authorize issuance of 2 series of bonds, a new money series, and a refunding series. The new money series would be the second installment of bonds authorized at the November 2019 election. The resolution approves maximum parameters for the bonds in terms of the maximum par amount and the maximum interest rate, and it delegates to the superintendent and/or executive director of finance authority to determine the final terms of the bond on the date of the sale, and to award the bonds to the best bidder. The refunding bonds would refund the district's outstanding Series 2013 bonds maturing on and after August 1st, 2023, for debt service savings to the district and taxpayers within the district. The resolution provides for it approves a form of the notice of sale, both a summary form that would be published in the local paper, probably either the Albuquerque Journal or the Rio Rancho Observer, and a more detailed form that would be included and presented to potential investors in the bonds, and would give notice to potential investors of the general terms of the bonds. The resolution also approves a form of the bond certificate itself. It provides certain covenants that are customary for general obligation bonds, such as the district imposing the property tax necessary to pay debt service on the bonds, and covenants related to the district's obligation to maintain the tax exempt status of the new money bonds, the Series 2021A bonds. And on that note, the Series 2021B bonds, which are the refunding bonds, would be taxable, meaning that the interest on the bonds would not be tax exempt to holders of the bonds. And the reason for that is that several years ago, the federal government removed the ability of local government issuers to advance refund existing bonds on a tax-exempt basis. In this case, the bonds that will be refunded, the Series 2013 bonds, are not callable, meaning they cannot be prepaid until August 1st, 2022. And so the proceeds of the Series 2021B bonds will be placed in an escrow with Bank of Albuquerque, or BOKF, and will be used to pay interest payments on the bonds until August 1st, 2022. And at that point, those bonds will be fully paid off. and for that reason, the 2021B bonds are taxable. The resolution also provides that the bonds will not be issued until and unless approval from the New Mexico Attorney General's office is obtained, which is a requirement for every school district general obligation bond issue. And for the 2021B bonds, the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration is also required, and that's a requirement for refunding bonds. The resolution also approves forms of an escrow agreement for the 2021B bonds. That's an agreement between the district and Bank of Albuquerque for Bank of Albuquerque to hold proceeds of the 2021B bonds and to make payments on those bonds until they're fully paid off on August 1st, 2022, and to provide the required notices to bondholders. It also approves a form of paying agent and registrar agreement between the district and BOKF. And that is just a standard agreement that provides for BOKF to actually make the wires and make the payments on the bonds. And finally, it approves a form of preliminary official statement. And that document is what is provided to potential investors in the bonds. It's provided to the rating agencies, and it discloses the pertinent information that investors may be interested in about the district, about the use of the bonds, about the district's tax base, the local economy, the terms of the bond, and so on. And with that, I'm happy to elaborate on any of that or to answer any questions about the resolution or the process or anything else.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I'll go to the board real quick and see if they have questions. Catherine, you have anything?
No, thank you.
Jeff Morgan?
I have no questions.
Thanks. Wynn Coleman, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
And Noreen Scott?
No questions. Thank you.
And I don't have any questions either. Thank you. Appreciate you going over it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. So, is there, Dr. Cleveland, did you want to add anything? I know you've talked at the beginning about it already.
I really don't have anything to add. I just thank them for their hard work, and I do recommend approval.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. This is a lot. And I always appreciate the way you guys kind of explain everything, especially for me, who's not always a numbers kind of girl. So I appreciate all the hard work that you put into explaining all these things to us. So with that, is there a motion on this?
This is board member.
Jeff Morgan. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Thank you. This is board member Jeff Morgan. I make a motion for the approval of Series 2021 General Obligation School Board Notice of Sale Resolution, Parameters Delegation Resolution, Preliminary Official Statement.
This is board member Coleman. I second.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Jeff Morgan and a second by Wynn Coleman. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us on this?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith,
Yes.
and it is approved 5-0.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for coming out and doing all that for us. We really appreciate you. It's nice. One day maybe we'll see you. We haven't had a chance to.
There will be a lot of documents to sign, so maybe we can meet in person at that point. I really appreciate the opportunity to work with the district. I'm excited about it, and thank you very much.
Thank you. We're excited to have you, and we're always grateful for all the work that Eric does for us too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so for our next item, we have to consider the approval of RFP number 2022-002-FAC, Rear Rancho Middle School HVAC Architect Design. So we have Michael Madrid, our Purchasing Director, and Melanie Archibek, our Executive Director of Facilities, on to present.
Thank you, Board President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. This procurement was initiated on behalf of the Facilities Department. Just want to kind of highlight some of the scope of work and the responsibilities of the design consultant. The design consultant will provide plan review and evaluation, program review and evaluation, programming, schematic design, design development, development of construction documents, provide oversight for construction administration, review and evaluate any issues as it relates to the warranty or beyond the warranty period. They'll also provide portable relocation planning studies and any other services that may be required to carry the project to a successful completion. The scope of work includes the design for a new HVAC system, which would include a mechanical and electrical upgrades as necessary to modernize these systems. The systems would include the acquisition and oversight of any and all professionals needed to assure that the design meets the current code and energy standards established by New Mexico CID and New Mexico PED. Services shall include any architectural, mechanical, and electrical modifications as needed to ensure the proper functioning of the reference systems. In response to the procurement, the district received 5 responses. Responses were received from Greer Stafford, SJCF Architecture Incorporated out of Albuquerque, McLean and U Architecture and Design, also out of Albuquerque, Studio Southwest Architects out of Albuquerque, Vigil and Associates Architectural Group PC out of Albuquerque, and Wilson and Company, also out of Albuquerque. The 5 offers were reviewed as far as a compliance review to ensure that they met the mandatory requirements. As referenced in the RFP, all 5 met the requirements and were eligible for consideration and evaluation by the evaluation committee. The committee reviewed the response information and scored based on the criteria identified in the RFP. They ranked the proposals, and we respectfully solicit the board's consideration of the evaluation committee's recommendation for the highest ranked offer, Greer Stafford SJCF Architecture Incorporated. I do want to highlight some of the work that Greer Stafford has performed for Rio Rancho Public Schools. They performed the Puesta del Sol Elementary School HVAC replacement, the Martin Luther King Middle School addition and renovations, Rio Rancho Middle School. And regarding the specific scope of work regarding an HVAC system, they have performed services for other school districts. For the central office, Twin Butte Cyber Academy, they did an HVAC replacement and roof replacement for Zuni Pueblo schools, Tucumcari Elementary School replacement, Pierda Vista High School re-roof and HVAC upgrades for Farmington Municipal Schools, and Las Lunas Middle School renovations. With that, I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to go to Noreen. Noreen, Scott, do you have any questions?
Do not have any questions at this time.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Wynn, Coleman, any questions? Jeff Morgan?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Catherine? Okay.
This is Board Member Coleman. I move to approve RFP number 2022-002 FAC Architectural Design Services for Rio Rancho Middle School HVAC be awarded to, and I'm sorry, the name of your recommendation again, please,
Greer
Mr. Madrid.
Stafford.
It be awarded to Greer Stafford, SJCF Architecture, Inc.
You have a second?
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. I second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Wynn Coleman and a second by Catherine Cullen. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. And that motion carries. Okay, for our next one is to consider the approval of ITB number 2022-004-IT student device insurance. And Michael Madrid will once again be presenting.
Thank you, Board President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. I'll kind of be presenting an overview of the procurement process, and then I'll turn it over to Terry Meyer, who will kind of give an overview of the information technology's role as it relates to device repairs and those type of issues. This procurement is to assist parents to offset the cost of replacement and or repairs of various technology devices. The scope of work we reference that parents must be able to purchase insurance independent of Rio Rancho Public Schools. The vendor must provide a self-service online portal for parents to have easy access and for customer support. The portal for IT to verify that there is insurance coverage for the devices. There will be a $0 deductible for the parents. The company must provide loaner devices while the repairs are being performed. The repairs will be performed by in-house RRPS technicians. Money for the repairs shall be sent directly to the Rio Rancho Public Schools by the insurance company. The insurance company shall also be able to provide multiple claims throughout the academic year at no additional cost to the parents. Some of the devices that will be covered, or some of the items that will be covered, are broken screens, keyboards that are either broken or lost, theft, lost, misplaced, broken Chromebooks, broken LLD displays, broken webcams, broken touchscreens, lost or stolen power cords. The devices that are covered under the plan are the hotspots, screens, touch screens, power cords, keyboards, webcams, things like that. The cost is $22 annually, and the parents will have an unlimited opportunity to request replacement or repair of the devices. The district received one response from a company called UPIC Insurance Services out of Agora Hills, California. We did verify that the company was a responsive bidder and met the requirements, and it'll be our recommendation that the board consider approval of this procurement to IPIC Insurance Services, doing business as school device coverage. I do want to highlight a little bit before I turn it over to Terry. This company is providing this insurance coverage for the Springer Municipal Schools in Springer, New Mexico. They also provide insurance device coverage in California, Texas, Virginia, Ohio, Georgia, and Iowa. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Terry, and she can give you some more information on the IT side of it.
Hello, nice to see everyone. This is a great opportunity for our students. It's $22 for the entire year, and the cost of parts for computers have gone up, as you know. We were paying $20 for cords, and now they're $25. There's one example. And for some reason, dogs like to eat cords, so we're replacing cords like crazy. We're buying 600 this week. So it's really kind of crazy. I have to tell you that even if they buy this insurance for the entire year, from July to July, they're covered. So if they lose 4 cords, they've already got their money back because it's $25 a cord. And the insurance for a year is $22. So the cost to replace a screen is anywhere from, well, it depends on the computer, of course, but anywhere from $40, $45, all the way up to like $65 if it's a touchscreen. So there is nothing that we replace on a Chromebook that's less than $20. So $22 for the entire year can save these parents money on the cost of repairing the Chromebook. So just so you know, we don't charge the parents for repair. We don't charge them for things that happen in the classroom. This is if the kid pokes a pencil in the webcam and breaks it on purpose. Then we charge them to replace it. Or they throw the Chromebook across the room, you pay for the screen to be replaced. So this is when things happen with the Chromebook outside of the school. They do things to the Chromebook that maybe were not an accident, but on purpose. and that's where they do it. So it literally, if a parent has a student who drops it all the time and they break the screen 4 times, the insurance is worth it. So I love that this company is able to provide this to our parents, $22 a year. I think it's just something we offer to them. It's totally up to them whether they purchase it or not. It's voluntary, and I think it's a great program.
That's awesome. I have a quick question. So what about for our teachers? Like, is there something, like, what are we doing for them? Are they able to purchase something like this? I know that there's been some issues with, just accidental spills and stuff like that. Is there something that we can do to offer this for them, or what is that looking like, Terry? I can see you smiling, so I can see.
Yeah. I haven't been offered teacher laptop device coverage just yet, but I was looking into another company. I just haven't gotten around to finalizing whether they could do that for teacher machines, which are a little bit different than student machines. This company focuses directly on student devices, so I'd have to ask them if they do the same for teachers. And we have not had that conversation because I was waiting to see if there were other companies that would apply to offer the student device coverage to our parents, because I wanted to know what other companies were out there and what they could provide before I kept doing my research to see what would be best. So I have not looked into it, but I will. I will continue to look for it, and it is something in the back of my brain to get that done. Yes, ma'am. I will get it done.
Do you see that with teachers? Do you think that there's a good amount that would be wanting, some sort of insurance, just out of curiosity?
Well, we don't have as much breakage with the teachers as we do with students. We typically have about 5 a year, which isn't that many when you think about 2,000 teachers. 5 a year, that's not that many, and they're not usually repeat offenders. For example, one left a laptop on top of their car and drove off. That doesn't happen very often. One left it in Starbucks and walked away. That doesn't happen very often. But it is always, unfortunately, when they do take it off of Rancho property, it becomes their responsibility. And I don't know that they would sign up for it, but I think that it's a good thing to offer to them if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, other questions from the board? Noreen Scott?
Yeah, what is our policy now if a Chromebook gets broken and the student, because they're working from school, so they wouldn't have it covered by school, or would they?
If a Chromebook breaks and they're at school or they're on school property for any reason, the motherboard goes bad, the daughter board goes bad, any parts of the Chromebook, we have technicians that are on site that fix it on site. So our technicians are certified technicians to fix our Chromebooks. They fix them on the spot. A kid pops off a key, a technician goes and they fix the key right back on the Chromebook. So right now we fix everything in-house. We fix everything that is broken on the Chromebooks. Like I said, only if they do something that is not part of wear and tear, throw it across the room, hit it with a hammer, stick a pencil in the webcam, all the other stuff, but we fix everything in-house. Our technicians fix all of our Chromebooks. They're interchangeable parts and they are fixed on our property. So we fix them on site. So we don't charge labor. We don't charge any of those things. We don't charge shipping. We fix them on site. And for now, the parents, if your child breaks the Chromebook on purpose, we do charge them. Like for example, the cord is $20. We charge them $20 for a replacement cord if their dog chews it up. So we ask parents to please put the cords up high so the dog doesn't chew the cord. So they do have to pay for a replacement cord if a dog chews it or things like that. Does that make sense? Is that what you asked, Ms. Scott?
Yes, it is. Thank you for your answer.
And I will say they do a great job. My daughter had to have one. They fixed it right there for her really quickly. So they do a great job. Jeff Morgan?
No questions. I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks. Catherine Cullen?
Yeah, Terry, does this include spills as well? Because I was looking what it covers, and I don't see like if they spill coffee or Coke or something on there.
Any damage to the Chromebook, this is covered, and you can spill Coke 3 times and they'll replace it 3 times for you. So it's pretty good insurance. Yes, it covers any kind of damage to the Chromebook spillage.
Oh.
You probably didn't get the whole details, but I have a whole proposal that has it in there. I don't know if they shared that with you or not, but I can share it with you guys.
That's okay. That's what I just wanted to check because they just listed a few things here. And then was this a requirement that we needed to go out for this? Was this anything that came from PET, or is this something that we decided to go out for independently?
This is something that I have always seen a need for this because of the increase in dogs chewing cords and things breaking. And I'm not kidding about the cords. I know I keep saying it, but there's one kid that lost 10 cords, and that's a lot of money for a parent. And so I saw a need, and this insurance company reached out to me and said, hey, we can offer this. And then I went to procurement and said, how can we do this for our parents and our students? And how can we make this affordable? And so they don't have to repeatedly. We have some kids that break their Chromebooks. They've paid for 3 Chromebooks. That's $200 each. So by the time you pay for 3 Chromebooks, that's $600. So $22 a year is worth it. And I just wanted to offer something to our parents to offset those costs that would be affordable and would help them out. And that was my goal, was to see if we could find something that would do this. And this company kind of fell in my lap, if you will. And then I did the research. I researched them. I found out from other districts, do they do a good job? Do they get the money quickly? Are they responsive? Absolutely. So I did check with a few other districts. I did my due diligence and tried to see if they really covered what they said they're going to cover, that type of thing. I did look into it.
Terry, what I'd like to add, if that's okay, and Board Member Cullen, we wanted to ensure that there was equitability, that the district just didn't go out and secure these services from the one firm. We wanted to show at least we make a good faith effort to publicly solicit this and see if there's any other offers that may be interested and that could provide the service that we could vet against each other. So that's the whole intent of the public procurement.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that, because that was going to be my next question, because when you said, Terry, it kind of fell in your lap and all that, I wanted to make sure that we got out there and put out those bids.
They're the only company that responded. You know, we published it. Michael did his, I don't remember all the stuff he did, but of course we solicited bidders, and this was the only company. And when we got that bid, I did make sure that they were a fiscal responsible company, that they did what they say they were going to do.
Okay. And then is there a certain amount of policies that we need to sell for them to cover? Or if one person signs up, they'll cover just one person? I don't know if there's a minimum that they need to have.
Board Member Cullen, they did not identify any prerequisites to the insurance. So
Okay.
it's $22. If it's just one family that takes advantage of the offer, then it's just the one family. There was no prerequisites on their response back to the district.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great deal. I mean, $22, you can't beat that. And then they allowed it to stay in-house for repairs as well. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. And then Wynn Coleman.
Thank you. And this does sound like a great opportunity, a great offer. I was curious now, so this is strictly the $22 goes by calendar year, correct? So if somebody, if somebody came in mid-year, they would still go ahead, pay that amount. I know it's $22, but pay that $22 for half the year, correct? There's no, like, it doesn't go for a year's extension or anything like that.
I don't know. I didn't ask that question, but I can follow up with them once we finalize. If we finalize this and you guys approve, I can work out those details with them. But for now, I only know that it's 22 from July to July. So I asked them to cover it all the way through summer. Now, whether or not they do a reduced rate at December, I don't know, but we can find out if we approve this company in this bid.
Okay, I know it's just a small detail. I was just thinking about someone.
I don't know yet. I don't know how they work, but I'd be happy to ask them.
Okay,
but I
thank you.
don't know right now, unless Michael knows. Did they say that in their proposal somewhere?
The service is the school year, and there was no reference to any prorated amount. So we could clarify that, but it would be presumed that there isn't a prorated amount.
Okay, and I mean, it's a great opportunity, and very nice to be able to offer that. So just curious. Thank you.
And I see Dr. Cleveland's on. Dr. Cleveland, would you like to add?
And just one comment, regardless of when the Chromebook, for example, is lost or damaged or whatever, the cost of that Chromebook remains the same, that you have to recover. So, I think that's part of looking at that. And then the other, for general information, school districts have a legal responsibility to recover those costs, as they are instructional materials, and they were purchased with taxpayer money. So you have a legal response. The district has a legal responsibility to recover those costs. So we really do encourage parents to take advantage of this. It's great protection for them financially, but it also really expedites the ability for us to be able to recoup those losses as well.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. Wynn, go ahead. Wynn Coleman.
And just one last question. With this being offered, how does this, separate from whatever we're doing with the vendor that's providing the equipment, how does that work as far as
So Chromebooks come with a 1-year warranty. So whoever we bought those from, they'll go directly back to the company. So anything that goes wrong with the Chromebook during that 1-year time frame, we ship it back to the company we purchased it from. So whether it's Asus or HP or Acer or whoever we bought the Chromebook from, it goes directly back into their manufacturer. They fix it and they send it back to us. And so our warranty, if our Chromebook is under warranty, we have them fix it. If it's not under warranty, we fix it in-house. So we've been doing that. That's how it rolls. But a year is pretty quick. So the warranty goes out pretty fast.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any further questions from anyone? Okay. Is there a motion?
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. I make a motion to approve ITB number 2022-004-IT student device insurance to be awarded to UPIC Insurance Service doing business as school device coverage.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott, and I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Catherine Cullen and a second by Noreen Scott. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank
And
you,
then
Board.
thank you, Michael, and thanks, Terry. We appreciate it. Thanks, Terry, for answering all our questions. That was very thorough.
Thank you.
Okay, so for our last item for tonight is New Mexico School Board Association has a call for resolutions for 2022 legislative session. It's like kind of hard for me to believe that this is actually coming up. I feel like that next legislative session is coming up. If you guys remember last year, I remember Catherine submitted a couple, if I'm remembering right, Catherine, for our resolutions. And so it's open through, and I think I said this wrong last time. So it's open now, and it ends Monday, September 13th. So this next is just to help the New Mexico school boards also help with their priorities for this legislative session. The legislative session that's coming up is a 30-day session. It's going to focus on budget and financial issues. And so we wanted to have a quick conversation on if there are some resolutions that as a board we would like to submit to New Mexico school boards. If anyone's had a chance to think about it. So I will. Catherine's giving me funny faces. So Catherine, what you get is you get asked first.
No, actually, I'll let everybody kind of go because I have about 4 that proposal. One's pretty controversial, so we'll let the other ones go.
Okay. So does anyone have anything? We'll go over to Noreen. Noreen, do you have anything that you'd like to submit for a resolution?
Yes, I would like to suggest that the New Mexico School Boards Association work in conjunction with the school districts who are interested in doing career technical to help fund that and have it be a program that the state is invested in as well. That would be my first thought. Secondarily, I would like them to talk a little bit about to the I'm sorry, the Board of Education, the state, what is it called? The Secretary of Education.
PED.
I would like to
Yep.
have PED. I would like to have them focus on getting data and information to us in a more transparent and rapid way as we go through this pandemic. I would also like to suggest that if a school board feels strongly about an issue, that they should be allowed to govern locally and not be overridden on the state level, as we saw in the community of Floyd. I would very much like to have them focus on that solution rather than disbanding an entire school board. And to make it clear, that's totally out of our control. Basically, if we took a stand right now, we would all be removed and the school district would be run by Santa Fe. And that's not what the voters in this community agreed to. So those are my thoughts.
So Noreen, I'll let everybody talk, but I'll kind of circle back because I want to add on to that as well.
Okay. Do you want to just start adding on to it now?
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think she said quite a bit. I mean, thank you, Noreen. That was quite a bit.
Yeah.
You started off by saying I got one thing, and it was like 4. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I got 3.
Okay, so with Noreen, as well as the CTE programs and for them to cover for the facilities for districts, they need to expand on their funding for career technical. This has been needed and for many, many years. We keep going back to them. We're just not seeing the funding across the state. They say we need CTE, but we haven't seen the direct funding that the schools need to be able to build those programs. So that's one of them. The other, transportation, we're still always short. We continue to always have to talk about transportation. So another one, I think, Mike, are we still close to $1 million short on transportation? They keep saying they're going to redo this, but I think we're still around that. I don't know if he's there. Or Dr. Cleveland.
Yes, that's still the case. We are still short. We anticipate being short again this year. And we have been told that the state is planning to work on it this year. But the person who told me he was going to shepherd it through was, at least to get discussed, was Deputy Secretary Delgado, who is no longer there. So we're going to need to run that back up with the new secretary once he takes over at the end of the month and get that back on track again. So yes, we are short. And the last numbers that I have been given from Mike Baker was $1 million again, at least.
Yeah, and I saw that LESC keeps talking about it, but we just haven't had a resolution after all these years. We keep telling that we're going to get the money, but we don't get it. So that one, we just got to keep pounding that in until they finally change that formula. So the CTE, the transportation, the other one, and Dr. Cleveland is with, they're supposedly going to get a lot of federal stimulus money up there. And I think that the school districts need to be part of the discussion on how that money is going to be dispersed. So that's one that I'm thinking of. I don't know how we can draft that, but that's another concern. The last is what kind of Noreen said, and that's where I was going with. This is going to be this could be controversial. So I actually left you a message, Dr. Cleveland, before we had the earlier meeting. So school boards have very limited authority and based off of local control, and that goes back into some history with the New Mexico, even way before I got onto the school board, back with HB 212, correct, Dr. Cleveland? A lot of that local control was taken. Again, that's also taking away from where we went to a secretary versus a school, the school board, the state school board, I guess is how you would call it, right?
I'm sorry, let me just clarify that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There was a state board of education that was elected across the state, and the chief executive officer was the state superintendent of education.
Yeah. So, and then they appointed the superintendent, that board. And so when we talk about a lot of this local control, And you hear it a lot across the board right now, especially. So some of that aspect was taken away from and so the PED has a lot more authority with their mandates that we must follow because of their authority. So that goes into the whole, because we're basically a policy making authority, and our only employee is the superintendent. But so when we talk about local control, I do think that we need to go back to some more local control. There is that lawsuit that a number of school districts have, I think it was back in October of last year, Dr. Cleveland, trying to bring more local control. And I haven't been able to read the suit itself yet, but just basically some articles in reference to it. And really, I do believe that PED has overstepped their authority on a number of items within the school districts throughout the state. I mean, even going to how they're going to serve the lunches. And also, if we remember our HVAC, the difficulties we had with HVAC and the requirements and the amount of money that we had to spend for the HVAC systems, as well as they wanted us to give supplies out, which we really couldn't, to other businesses. And well, I think they wanted to give it to the hospitals, the toilet paper and the cleaning supplies. I remember that was early on in the pandemic, Dr. Cleveland, and that was very controversial because we can't do that.
That's correct.
Where were, I can't remember who they were asking us to send it to.
I believe that we were being, well, I don't remember. I don't.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
The one maybe that I remember the most was stopping the vaccinations of our staff, which
right.
to me is very arbitrary but I don't remember. I just don't remember where it went. It's just been too long now.
Yeah.
It's a point of clarification. There is a lawsuit, and I kept you all informed on that in the superintendent's report, that there are districts that have joined that lawsuit. There are also many districts right now that are opposed to it, but I could certainly get you, or Lauren could get you a brief summary of that lawsuit if you would like to see it. So, I can certainly share that with you.
I think, to Catherine's point, though, local control is a misnomer. We don't really have local control, and this pandemic has really brought that out. And what happened down in Floyd, where it's a small community with small classroom size, and it's rural, and they've not been allowed to govern the way they feel they should, is I think a sad state of affairs right now.
So even just with the Floyd, this just becomes a bigger issue. I mean, they definitely had the right to poll the Board of Education. That is something that is in statute. And they have to poll the whole board. They can't poll individual boards, individual members. So really, this is where it comes to the state level. The legislators need to change this. And I've seen it over a couple of years that, it depends. It all really depends on who the secretary is too, and who's going to push and shove trying to get this changed. So one time, the conservatives want to get rid of them at this point, and then maybe the liberals want to get rid of the other secretary because they felt that overstepped it. So really it goes down to local control, and that we do need to get some kind of resolution. It's a lot bigger than just the mask mandates, but this has to do with basically local control and having too much controls over our districts. And we really saw it during the pandemic. I saw that, I was reading the article, kind of the last update. They wanted to dismiss the suit and then they said, because really the pandemic is almost over. But now we're starting to see, but the judge said, no, we're going to continue with it. But really it's because now we're seeing it again. We're going back into it, this Delta, and we're going to start seeing probably where they start putting more mandates on us. So that's why I want to expand on yours, Noreen. And not only that, when we're talking, when we even talk about speech therapy, that was one of the things that I wrote down, Dr. Cleveland. When we were talking about speech therapy, and if they could do it behind that plexiglass. And we're like, no, we can't even do it behind plexiglass because they're still saying that we have to wear masks. Some of this stuff, I think that the districts need to be able to decide on if they can do these things safely and appropriately and provide the services that we need to provide our students. And one of the things the secretary, when he was leaving, he said that we're part of the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit. And he said that, he has a blueprint for some changes because of that lawsuit, but it won't happen until after he gets out of, after he left. But it did say that they did not consult with any of the plaintiffs for doing that blueprint. And that was because of the legality issues of it. But really, this is where it's coming to the point of, we're part of a lawsuit and they're not consulting with us on how to fix it. And that's a concern. So sorry, that was a very long explanation on a lot of stuff, but I think this goes to the control that PED has over the districts and the decision-making process.
So let me make sure I know what you want us to do. I assume that what you're recommending is that we draft some sort of resolution in support of school district, school board, local control, or are you wanting us to join the lawsuit? I'm not quite sure.
Well, we can't even really talk about the lawsuit. That's something that would need to go,
Okay.
provide to the board and they can decide on that. But a resolution going into more of local control, and that really this is a state decision. This is where our legislators have to get back involved to doing that.
I do want to be sure everyone is aware that with regards to the Floyd situation, it did go to court and the court did rule against the district. So that has been decided at the court level in New Mexico.
That was on Friday. I hadn't seen, was that Friday, Dr. Cleveland?
It was just occurred, so I didn't know if everybody had
I hadn't heard.
It was decided on Friday. That decision came out.
Yeah. And I couldn't commit. So that's the thing is that people don't realize that is in statute, that PED can remove a school board. And they felt that this fell under their guidance of that.
But it's my understanding that what we're doing today is a resolution, School Boards Association, to bleed out and then move forward to legislators if necessary. Is that
right?
correct?
So this will go to the New Mexico School Board Association, to their resolution committee. They have so they make the decisions for the priorities and the resolutions for the New Mexico School Board Association, and then they go over it with the school board in December with what they had moved forward from that committee.
And I sat on that committee last year. And so this is something that committee has put together with representatives from across the state, looking at the resolutions that School Board Association then takes to the legislators as far as wanting to really kind of see change.
Okay,
my point is that we have no expectation of Dr. Cleveland at this point.
Okay,
yeah, well, they help.
They put the resolution together.
Yeah.
We write the
you're good
for you, and then you look at them and you give us feedback and tell us what you want changed, and then you eventually approve them. So unless you all want to start writing them, but historically we've written them for the board, and then the board approves or disapproves or adds or takes away.
The district does a great job, Kim and Beth. They do an excellent job on putting the resolutions, and we can always kind of go over them and tweak them.
Yeah, trust me, you guys don't want me writing resolutions. I don't think I'm well versed in that for sure. So okay. So let's kind of keep. So Catherine, did you want to add any more? Should I go over to Win, or you?
Go ahead. I think that was my 4.
It's good because it seems like I think everyone has a lot of the same focus. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I'm glad that Noreen had said some of that, because I wrote that down thinking, okay, this might be a little controversial for the board. So I'm glad that some of us were on the same page.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over to Win, and then after Win, we'll we'll check in with Jeff. Go ahead, Wynn.
Okay. Thank you. I too was going to bring up really a resolution that addresses providing more local control for boards. The one thing that has become evidently aware to me as I've watched and heard the community speak up is the understanding that what happened with that district was by statute something that could happen, that unfortunately if we want to make change, that what we really need to do is advocate for more local control. So it's, in my opinion, kind of looking at winning the battle and losing the war, which is extremely unfortunate. So I know that there were 18 districts that went up against and have filed saying that the state public education secretary has overstepped their authority in what they've done with the district. So I think that that's vitally important. CTE is another one. And then I can't help but once again, just whatever that might look like, just say that I really want to support and encourage that we look at addressing whatever needs to be done to support the emotional and behavioral health of our students, especially with everything that we've gone through over this past year. And how vitally important that is whenever that time is appropriate to address that with our legislators. But funding to provide services appropriate to the needs of our districts and making sure that they are relevant to our population of students, and even providing enough funding for targeted to the different schools and the different schools' needs, and making sure that we have that in place.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to hit on some of yours after we go to Jeff. So, all right, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I'm good. I'm fine.
Okay.
Those guys, the ideas I had, Noreen spoke about those. So thanks again, Noreen.
Okay. Yeah, so I like that Wynn brought up mental health. I've been thinking about that. And honestly, I love all of these. I think these are all good ones. I don't know if we want to come down on them at all, but I am really concerned, and I was talking with a member of our community about our students' mental health coming out of this. Well, and we're not out of it, right? We're going back in. And so I'm even more concerned, and that our districts need some funding to help these students. And we need to seek them out and find them who are struggling with some mental health things. I feel like, and I don't know how about you guys, but just even like having to go back into masks, I feel like it's harder this time. And I kind of look back thinking, is this like a PTSD kind of thing? You know, like, why is it that big of a deal, like, to put the mask back on? But I think it's just everything that it represents. And today when I was teaching my classes and, you know, the mask mandates back on, and so the students had to put their masks on, it was rough to have to go back into that. And I do think it's because our students it was hard for them last year. You know, we had a number of students in our public comment worried about their dances. But what really struck me was, you know, we've lost 2 years, or we've lost 1.5 years, or however they put it, of high school. And so I am concerned. And I do think that with the money that is up in Santa Fe, that we do need to, and I don't know what that looks like, but I do think that we need to look at that mental health and see what we can do. We need to pull in some specialists to help with that. Go ahead, Wynn.
You know, and I just really want to reiterate that I think that especially having chaired the Behavioral Health Advisory Committee, knowing what the significant effort put into making sure that we had the resources, or we have the resources that we need at the different schools, what has become evident to me is that we've just done everything that we could. And yet what I just want to really reiterate is I think it's really important that we make sure that we know that what we're doing is money spent efficiently, and programs that are efficient and specific to our populations. And that also includes not only the different demographics of our schools, but the transition between elementary to middle to high school. And so I think that there just needs to be a very concerted effort in financially what we do to deliver those, and not just and in a way that we're not just offering as many things as possible and not knowing the duplication in our system or things that are working or not working. But we do really need that financial support at the state level to take care of our students and our staff. That's the other thing, is our staff too.
I think that's a good thought. So, okay, so what I have kind of written down is CTE, that we need that to, and I think that's a huge priority. I have Noreen. Do you want to? So you talked about PED to focus on getting us data about what. Can you go over that one more time for me?
Well, I'd just like to see it more transparent and more rapidly transferred to the superintendent. What we've been faced with throughout this pandemic is waiting for what has been called a toolkit, and then having to scramble to be able to meet the needs of our students and meet the demands of the superintendent of schools. I don't say PED right. Is it a superintendent of PED? Is it the
secretary?
Secretary. Okay, the secretary of PED. We're trying to meet those demands, but I think it's shortchanging our children because we're trying to move so quickly, and it's just too challenging for our staff and our schools.
Yeah, I had a mom, Noreen, who told me and talking, right back to even to the mental health things, as we were waiting for that toolkit, she's like, this feels like last year, like it's all over again. And anyway, it was difficult. Okay. So I have that one from Noreen, and then I have from everyone, I think that we need more local control. Catherine gave more emphasis on some of those things that should be in with that, but we need some more local control with our school boards. That goes along with House Bill 212. And for Catherine hit on transportation, that we're still short in that, which is so crazy because I know we talked to Representative Harper and he's like, I swear they told me that they're taking care of that, and it still hasn't been. So there's still awareness that we are short on our transportation funds. And I also have school districts having having more of a say in that the CARES, is it the CARES money that we're talking about right up in Santa Fe, that superintendents and school districts should have some a place kind of at the table to talk about those things. Is that what you're thinking, Catherine, there?
Yeah, and there's some other federal dollars too, and I don't know if they're considering that CARES Act money, Dr. Cleveland. Is it all that other money that's flowing through?
There is, and there's also some money for infrastructure. And so I think maybe what the board's priority might be, that whether it's infrastructure, CARES, whatever, that they prioritize school districts as infrastructure, as critical to the state's economic recovery and well-being. So, I think it would go something around the fact of prioritizing schools as infrastructure and schools as economic development vehicle.
Yeah, they're saying with the infrastructure, there's going to be a lot of money flowing through the states from the federal. That was just an article I just read in the journal too. I think I have it pulled up. Another one, and I'm sorry to add this, Dr. Cleveland, are we looking at, with our numbers of students, do we need to ask for another hold harmless on funding? Where are we at with our numbers?
I think we're doing pretty well with our numbers. That being said, this just might be one of the times to really be a good neighbor and to advocate for hold harmless for last year. There are some small districts that are really, really struggling as well. And the right thing is, I think to fund us at least on what we had last year. One of the concerns, and we haven't seen it yet, is again, people are pulling their kids out of schools because they don't like the mask mandate and are seeing their enrollments go down. But we have an enrollment report scheduled for the board at the next board meeting, and you will see our enrollment is up.
Okay,
that's good. I still know kids that are enrolling. Sorry, go ahead, Wynn.
No, I apologize for interrupting. I do think that we really do need to Dr. Cleveland's point, that be something that we do. I believe that with some of the things that we've talked about, that we are not going to see the impact of this for a little bit. And so I'd rather really think about being proactive on these issues. One of those being the enrollment that you were just talking about, Dr. Cleveland. So thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about that, but that I think is really important.
Okay. So then we have the mental health priority, and then also a hold harmless, which I agree totally on. So that's
Sorry,
7.
I'm adding a lot.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
saying that I did end up putting a lot. I think I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we had 6. So we have 7 total. So I think that's good.
Okay.
Dr. Cleveland, if they have any questions on the resolution for the local control, I know what we're so fortunate is that you've been the superintendent since the beginning. So you've seen the changes over the years, and especially like hearing everybody saying local control, but we know how little say as a board with the statutes that we really have on some of these things, and how much control that PED does have over us with their mandates. And so I think that, so I'm sure you'll capture it all, but if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and I'd be happy to come in and sit down with you.
And just one other thing, we don't know yet, again, knowing the secretary works directly for the governor, but we really don't know the direction the new secretary will take us, whether it'll be different in any respect or not. Certainly he's coming out of having been a superintendent for many years in Los Alamos. And so some of these issues, I think he's maybe has a very clear idea of having experienced it personally. And so it'll be interesting to see where our new secretary goes with regards to this. But certainly the initiative, a lot of that issue is directly and directly related to how the governor sees that piece. And so, but I would suspect that there may be some shifts with the new secretary. So but we should know that very soon. And to your point, I think when your point of being proactive is better than being reactive. So we will try to pull these all together. We'll work with you all on ones that you brought forward if you think we have any questions. And then I will send that out to you, probably attached to the superintendent's report, and then give us feedback on anything you like or don't like or whatever, and we'll make adjustments. And we'll try to get on that as quickly as possible. If we were to end up having any kind of a special meeting, we would try to have it ready by then.
And then I see Wynn wants to add a little. Go ahead, Wynn.
Yes, and I now communicate with districts and with board members across the state. And so I've just asked if there's any information any resolutions that they are writing in regard to local control, that I will, if I have any copies of those, that I will just pass along. But I do want to say that I think this issue about local control goes beyond the mask issue. And I think that it's important that we know that in addressing this, that we're addressing a bigger picture, and that whether it's mask or anything else that comes up that might apply to this, that we really communicate this not at a one issue, but a broader issue, and really giving our boards more local control in decision making and things related to their community. So I want to make sure that the resolution addresses the bigger picture. So.
So I'm sorry. So do you mind, Amanda? I didn't know if I was next.
I was talking, but it's all good. You're good. No, no, you were good. I was saying I was talking with my mute on, saying, "Go, Catherine."
Oh.
Sorry.
So I was
good.
saying, Dr. Cleveland, if you can get us that information on that lawsuit too, so we can get a better, as a board, so we can get a better understanding of what all the points that they're making within that lawsuit.
We certainly can do that. occasions.
I can do that research.
I've given you
We'll get it for you.
of it. I'll pull that back out.
All right. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Dr. Cleveland. Yeah, sorry, Catherine, I wasn't saying you interrupted me. I was just saying that I was trying
Lauren,
to say.
Lauren, please add anything. I'm sorry. Lauren? Yeah.
I'm here. No, I'll take that assignment. We'll locate the whatever documents we can about that lawsuit and its status. Provided to the board.
Okay, that'll be awesome. Dr. Cleveland, did you want to remark on anything else on anything, or did you feel there's anything we missed, or are we going beyond? What are your thoughts?
I think we're pretty clear on what you want in the resolutions. We'll draft those up and have you review them and make any changes that you would like to make.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from the board? Any, just raise your hand or unmute real quick if you have anything else. Okay, good. That was great. Thank you. Thank you everyone for taking time to think about those resolutions and for talking about them and discussing them with us tonight. So.
And thank you to the board, because I was a little worried about being a little controversial when I was writing this out. I was trying to call Dr. Cleveland even beforehand just to make sure that when we're putting it together, it won't be too out there, because I think so many people are focusing on the single issue and it's a much broader issue on this.
I totally agree. This is Board Member Noreen Scott. It's a broader issue. It's not. I don't think our discussion is masks or no masks. Our discussion is, if you elect somebody locally and you are supposedly having the authority locally to represent your community, then it needs to be that you represent your community. And right now we cannot represent our community because the decisions are already made and they're out of our hands. And I think we need to be clear to the voters in our community what we can and can't do. And right now, there's really not much authority that we have.
Right, exactly. And I don't think that a lot of people notice that. And when I've almost had to stop going on social media because of some of the things that some of them are posting, and it gets out there pretty good. And I just want to start posting saying that's outside of our authority. We can't do it. I don't think people have the understanding or the knowledge of that. And so yeah, is that me or is that somebody else?
It's Wynn. It's Wynn. She has a robot in her kitchen or in her house.
All right. So I think I've said enough for tonight. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Wynn. Yeah, I don't know what was buzzing back. I think it was just a feedback loop. Okay. Anything else from anyone before we go into our calendar?
Oh, thank you. I agree with what's just.
Yeah, Nuri, or when that came out, totally robotic, but just give me a thumbs up. You good? Okay. All right. Okay. So, thank you everyone once again for going over those. And, I think, Catherine, that we find often, I mean, we don't agree perfectly on everything, but I'm always amazed at how when we come here that we can, we do find great things to agree on. And obviously that this is important, not just to our district, but I think to the districts across the state of New Mexico at this time. So thank you for bringing those up. I do want to say that, over the last year, we've lost a lot of wonderful people and wonderful staff, and our hearts go out to their families. This last weekend, we lost Coach Phil Griego, and we just wanted to say on behalf of our board, and I'm sure the district as a whole, that our hearts are with you, and especially during this really difficult time. And we have such a wonderful staff at Rancho Public Schools. And so every time I open up my, I saw this one on Facebook, but when I open up my emails and I see, usually it says sad news, and we hear about someone that we've lost in the district, it's heavy in my heart. And so we love our families in this community, because when we do lose those different members of our staff, it's typically people who have been a part of this community for just years and years, and have been so instrumental in building this wonderful district. And so I know not only are our hearts heavy, but I know that people all throughout both Rancho and Albuquerque and all around their hearts are heavy as we lose these wonderful individuals. And so best wishes, especially at this time to the Griego family, and we love you. So thank you. To close up, and I don't want to cut anyone off of anyone. Okay. To go ahead and close up our meeting tonight, we'll look at advanced planning. August 24th, we will have a Shining Stars preschool ribbon cutting, which is very exciting at 9. Is it 9 a.m. or 9:30? Is that 9 a.m.? Okay. 9. Okay. So 9 a.m. At Shining Stars Preschool. September 6th is going to be a Labor Day holiday. So no school will be in session. September 13th is a deadline, which we just talked about, for the call for resolutions for New Mexico School Board Association. Also on the 13th, we will have a regular board meeting at 5:30. So we might need to look at getting those resolutions out. Okay. Before then. So September 16th, we have an audit committee open meeting and executive session at 4:30. That will be virtual. September 27th, we will have a regular board meeting at 5:30. And that should at that point be in the boardroom and also virtual. So with that, there's some October dates which to look at, but we'll give those at our next board meeting. But with that, our meeting tonight will be adjourned. Thank you all so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks. You guys all have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thanks, Kim.